What is good, y'all? Welcome to Let's Cap. First show back after the NBA All-Star break. You can see we got a full house today. We got YBB here. We got Munaf. We got Chris. We got Greg in the building as well. You can see their Twitter tags under their screen on the bottom of their screen. You can see their Twitter tags. Make sure you guys go over there and follow them there. They all provide great information. They all do a lot of things, not only just NBA but other sports as well. Obviously these guys have different there are other shows as well. We'll talk about it later, but I'm gonna let them drop their shows and their schedules. I know a lot of these guys are really busy, so always love the fact that they could take the time to come on and let's cap and do this with me. We have a huge slate today. First, like I said, first day back from the All-Star break, but we're only gonna break down a few of them. We got some alignment, we got some disagreements here, but we're gonna talk it out and see where we come up with at the end of the day. YBB, let's start with you here. How was your All-Star break so far?
It was good to have the break. I'm glad the NBA season is back. Now we get to, we get in the second half of the season where we're going to start seeing a lot of balance. I took a couple of days off. I'm lying about that. I actually ended up betting college basketball, which, I'm going to do it again today. But overall, I'm glad the NBA is back because this is like the sport that I love to cap, the sport that has the most data points or the most interesting data points for myself. So, yeah, glad it's back. And yeah, I hope we all start on the right track today and cash some
Mhm.
tickets.
Yeah, Greg, how was your All-Star break? I know you were probably doing some soccer and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah, real busy. Where I live at, we have Mardi Gras here too, so I've been kind of doing some of that and just been taking it easy, man. Taking it slow and steady, man. We
Yeah,
still got 24 games left. Gonna be some good things to get on, man.
yeah. Munaf, how's your All-Star break? Did you do anything else?
No, man, I was in Cancun last week, took a little
Oh yeah, I
break.
forgot about that.
But yeah, I like YBB, bet some college basketball as well. Last weekend, this week. But NBA is back, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun to break down.
I know Chris was just at the beach too. I mean, both of you guys were chilling.
Yeah.
Chris, how's everything going? Have you been doing anything since you got back?
Not really. See, we had like 2 days I think before the All Star break festivities started, so I got a chance to jump back in. And over the All Star break, I didn't do much either. I bet Tatum. I didn't even take his points. I just bet his rebounds. And they cashed because after the team got selected, I was like, they don't have a big guy, so he should be able to get the rebounds. 6 rebounds is like plus 112, and then 12 like 8 rebounds like plus 235. So I cashed on the rebound prop for Tatum, and I didn't really play anything else. But definitely looking forward, like the guy said, to getting back to the NBA, especially now that we can kind of, predict and project like who's real and who's not. There's a lot of parity in the league, especially in the Western Conference with, the teams between the 4th seed and like the 13th seed. So
Yeah.
really excited about that. Also, was just laughing about Mitch in the chat saying that Greg's giving him Dustin Mayflowers right
Yeah,
now.
we're getting ready for MLB season. I don't know if you guys
Hey,
are
I
getting
just had to
prepped.
tell them how to take the braids out, man. They're in for a month, they're out for a month, they're in for a month.
Shit. That's funny. Yeah, we I mean, I know I think Munaf he mentioned too that he was getting prepped for MLB season, right? I think we're all getting there. We're getting ready to kind of get that transition going, but have a lot of NBA left, guys, and we want to cash the rest of the way here. So let's get into it. I know one of the first games here we have we're gonna start with Grizzlies Sixers here. There's gonna be some disagreements as far as where we look at on this game here. And let's start with Muna first. What are your looks on this game here? I'm going to bring up the screen and start sharing. But go ahead and go into your breakdown.
Hey, you kind of take a look at what the Grizzlies have done in non-conference games so far. On the surface, when you're just looking at their overall numbers, they're really good in non-conference games, right?
Mhm.
Against the spread at least. But I think if you break that down a little further for the Grizzlies, especially in spots where they are on the road, they haven't been very good. If you go non-conference in killer sports there for the Grizzlies in non-conference games, I believe they are 15-8-1 against spread. But then if you break it down to on the road and as a underdog, I think they're 0-4 against the spread, and I want to say 0-3 or 1-3 straight up. And they're also giving up a lot of points on the road in non-conference games as well. I know this was something that we were talking on the chat yesterday for the Grizzlies, and just overall, not in road games as an away underdog. I believe they're 0-8 straight up, against the spread. So it just hasn't been very good for them on the road. Sixers, we talked about it as one of the best home teams against the spread so far this season, where they're sitting at, I believe, 20-10 against the spread. And they've just been dominant at home. I know over the past couple of seasons, it's been flip-flopping for the Philadelphia 76ers, where they were great on the road. But this season, they're about around 66.7% at home this season. So I felt like this number was a little bit short. We also talked about they're going to be missing Steven Adams here tonight, which I think is a big loss to throw another body at a guy like Joel Embiid here tonight. So I know Triple J is a guy that can get into foul trouble, and after that, they get pretty thin at that front court position, where Joel Embiid, I think, can get whatever he wants here tonight. So I think that's going to be one area what I'm really going to look out for in this game. But I went ahead and laid the -4 last night. I know the number has ticked down half a bit, which makes me a bit nervous with the money coming in on the Sixers and the line moving down. But I mean, that's where I kind of was. I was really just fading what the Grizzlies have been able to do or not been able to do on the road in a way, or as an underdog this season.
Yeah, a couple of things that you mentioned here on Killer Sports. Grizzlies as road dogs, 0-8 straight up, 1-7 against the spread. You can see that's a huge ass margin there. It's average about 16, 17 points there. And if you also mentioned the non-conference specifically, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. And you're looking at teams here that are pretty solid. And I wouldn't say like they're the exact same team as the Sixers, but Celtics and Cavs, they're really solid teams here. And we're looking at similar lines there with the Celtics. So just looking at comparables, it seems like it would be a fade spot on the Grizzlies. One thing that I do want to add on the Sixers side, actually, let's go to Greg first before we break. Maybe he'll bring some stuff up that we didn't really think about. Greg, what are your thoughts on this one? I know you're kind of looking towards the other side here. Greg, I think you're on mute. Well, let's move on to Chris. Chris, do you have anything to add on this one until Greg figured it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So Munaf made a bunch of good points. I think you brought up some good information on this game as well, I see. But taking a deeper dive, a couple other things to kind of look at. I was looking at the Grizzlies this year when they've already beaten a team, when they're facing the team that they've already beaten this year. Yeah. And I think what you'll find is that they're 5-14, 26% in games where they're playing the team that they've beaten already this season. Only 2-7 against the spread on the road in that spot as well. And 0-2 against the spread and straight up on the road in that spot also. So what you have on the screen now, I think is really good information, but that's the spot I was looking at right there, I see. When they're dogs, but if you go into road dogs, which we know their offense typically falls off a cliff, right? Grizzlies one of those teams throughout the whole season that they play well offensively at home, and then on the road their offense gets a little bit worse. The defense gets a little bit worse as well. So they score less points. They're also giving up less points. And giving up more points. Munaf mentioned not having Steven Adams, but they're also going to be without Luke Kennard in this game as well, who would add another element of offense for these guys. So without both of those guys, I know it's post All-Star break and teams are looking to kind of solidify themselves and be better, but I don't like it. I also don't like that they have Denver on deck, RC, as well. And then the fade, not just fading the team, but also it becomes easier when all of the information kind of when you check all the boxes. So you look at Philly in this spot. You mentioned 17-10 against the spread as home favorites, 20-7 straight up. 16-4 straight up, 80% with both Harden and Embiid in as home favorites. 14-6 against the spread as home favorites with both of those guys in as well. 8-2 straight up and against the spread in non-conference games as home favorites with both of those guys in. So for all of those reasons, I mean, it's a lot more. I took the Philadelphia 76ers, laid the -4 with them in this spot. Also, one more quick thing I see. The look ahead spot is always, sometimes it can be difficult for us to kind of factor that in and like as far as like a trend and make it available in SDQL language. But I looked at road dogs that have a winning record that's playing a non-conference opponent, but that also has a conference game against a winning opponent on deck. those teams are 20-39-1 against the spread. So that's a 66% fade of Memphis in this spot with Denver on deck as well.
Is that it? Road dog, not conference. Next game is conference. Next opponent has a winning record.
Yeah. So hold on. So road dog that has a winning record playing in a non-conference opponent, but also has a game with a winning conference opponent on deck.
Shit. I don't know how to. Well, I trust you because I know you do your work. One thing that I want to add on the 76ers side here that I had up real quick was the Sixers in revenge games, 11-2 straight, 11-2 ATS. Average margin around 10 points there. I lean towards the over as well. I know Munaf also liked the over. I know Pat also, or YBB also liked the over as well. The other thing to mention is, I think if it's non-conference, let me just double check this. Yeah, if we go non-conference, obviously, these teams aren't exactly the same as the Grizzlies here. These teams are a lot weaker, Spurs and Rockets. But things that I'm seeing is really just 3-0 straight up, 3-0 ATS, 3-0 to the over. A lot of really things just kind of supporting you guys with this Sixers and the over. I also took the Sixers last night. At 4, I don't really know why it's going down, but I'm not gonna take it. I can't go back now. Ski, shout out to Ski for joining us here. Did you have anything to add, or YBB?
Go ahead, YBB. You was here before me.
Yeah, I kind of this game is a little sketchy as far as the side is concerned, just with all the money coming in on Philly. I do understand why, though. This is a revenge angle for the 76ers. They're the best team against the spread over the past 2 seasons as far as revenge spots. That's number one. Number two, they're in a sweet spot right now where when they're a favorite of less than 4.5 points, they're 21-8 ATS. And then lastly, when they're at home in these spots, they're 12-0 against the spread in revenge games. Simple SDQL. So there's a lot of supporting angles for the 76ers. Again, they're my favorite revenge team to back. I just don't like that. I guess there's a unanimous American alignment on the 76ers. So, that's a little bit of a pain. I do like the over in the spot. I have a Bet Lab system that triggered actually just right now. It's cashing at 83% since last season. It's Memphis and Philly to go over 230.5. And this is an all-star break trend, if you will. And this has to do with home teams that are off a game where they shot between 38 and 40.3% from 3. It's after the all-star game. The visitor is off a road game where their 3-point percent is between 31 and 40. And this has cashed in 83% of spots in games played after the all-star break. So I do think that we see up-tempo. I think Steven Adams helps out. I think Ja Morant and Joel Embiid have kind of a showdown. For degenerate purposes, I bet on a same game parlay of Joel Embiid and Ja Morant to both score 40+. So, but I don't recommend it. I'm not trying to give that out. I had to. So I like the over a little bit, but I can't really talk anybody off of Philly other than, oh my gosh, there's too much money on them. I have too many support angles for Philly. So,
Ski, anything to add?
My bad, I was on mute. But yeah, y'all touching on a lot of stuff for reason to like Philly. I do like Philly. I'll maybe just give you a league wide kind of angle. We'll go after All-Star break, regular season, previous loss to this opponent, and both teams have more than 5 days rest. And we're going to be looking at the line. It's a line. They're favorite of less than 7.
So we got we
I
actually
got a
had
little something different. Oh, playoff equals 0. My bad. And playoff equals 0. Is that what it is?
Greg should have covered that. Well,
Home favorite. Home favorite. That's what I'm missing.
Okay. Oh damn.
There we
Okay,
go.
17-4 straight up, 16-4-1 ATS. Support
And
for
really,
the Cavs, Sixers, and Raptors, and Kings today. So a lot of support on this trend, league wide trend here.
well, yeah, I really in this game, I want to fade the Grizzlies till till Steven Adams comes back. Really, just
Yeah.
because I think their defense suffers. If you're looking at how much they're allowing, it goes up from 122 as a road dog to about 125 and a half. They've only covered one game as a road dog so far this season. So as good as
Yeah.
the Sixers have been at home, you guys talked about how good they are in revenge situations. I think we should go that route. And also, I'm pretty sure Munaf talked about the team total, but I'm on that too.
Yeah, I think we were kind of aligned. I think all of us are really aligned on that team total. I mean, if we just look at the over and the side in general, it would lead us towards that number, regardless. So I can't talk
Can you
anyone
do me
up.
a favor really quick, RC? You said it's
Yeah.
active on the Cavs because it didn't all pop up. I didn't have power, so
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
I
all
got you.
pop up last night.
It's Cavs, Sixers, Raptors, and Kings.
A lot of people. All right.
Yeah, a lot
of
a
chalk
lot going on
tonight.
today. All right, so let's move on to the next one. I think we freaking killed that game. Let's go on to this next one. I think Pat or YBB and Chris are liking this Jazz Thunder game here. Go ahead, YBB. Let's start with you on this one.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about teams with regression and progression. So one of the when you look at regression and progression, you think of sides. So, for instance, after the All-Star break, I'm looking to fade the Kings. I'm looking to fade the Hawks. I'm looking to fade the Magic. I think all of those teams performed above their expectations, and I think they fall off in the second half of the season. So you can also incorporate regression into totals as well. I think OKC's been playing out of their mind as far as the total has been concerned. You're getting a taxed total, and it's only been going up every single game. And now we have a spot that I liked it at the opening number. I actually priced this closer to 233 and a half. Let me go ahead and get into why I like this under so much. So I'm pulling up my notes right now, but OKC in the last 7 games, they've actually gone 7-0 to the under when facing an opponent they lost by 20 plus points against in a previous matchup. So that's trend number one. The second spot that I like is the Utah Jazz. They're 20-3 to the under, 20-3, coming off a game where they scored less than 1 delta point. So delta points, for those of you who aren't unaware, that's your team total. So they did not meet their expectations in the previous game versus a conference opponent and facing a team they beat by at least 20 points. So yeah, I like that spot. And then those unders, they've been going under by 8.26 points per game. And then lastly, for the Utah side of things, the Jazz are 13-0 to the under when they are home favorites of no more than 6.5 points over an opponent they covered the spread against in a previous matchup. So there's a few angles that kind of triggered me towards this under. I see why people want to bet the over. But I am going to, I'm probably going to put a little bit more on it, to be honest, because again, I priced this closer to 233 and a half. I don't think that the offensive, how do I say it? Snowball, I guess, will occur even after the All-Star break. I think that we see regression in Oklahoma City totals, and this is a spot where I feel comfortable in backing that under. So,
got you. I know Chris liked the Thunder on this one. Chris, right? Go ahead and talk that one out.
Yeah, this one was pretty simple for me. I see, like, I think YBB gave us some great info on the under, which I also would look towards. I think the one thing YBB didn't mention as far as the total before I get into the side is that OKC also plays tomorrow. Next rest equals 0. Ski told us that a long time ago, right? So typically what we're talking about is you got to leave something in the tank, especially when you got a nationally televised game, which I don't know if it's I don't know if we can quantify it being a nationally televised game, but you don't want to get ran out the gym tomorrow, and they do got the Phoenix Suns on deck tomorrow. So I like the under for that reason as well. But as far as the actual, Oklahoma City, when I capped this game yesterday, they were +3, the Thunder were. And then Colin Sexton, the news came out that Colin Sexton was going to be out, I think, for at least 2 more games with the hamstring injury. and the line immediately moved from 3 down to 2.5, and then I got it at 2. So I got OKC +2. And when we're looking at OKC, we especially as dogs, this is the second straight year I think that they've been the most profitable team as a road dog. I got them as 18-6 as road dogs this year. And the other part of that too, RC, is we talked about the front end of a back-to-back. They're 3-1 against the spread on the first leg of a back-to-back when they're a road dog. So some teams that it kind of matters. So other teams it doesn't. The Jazz in the 11th seed right now. I think the other part of the cap for this is that I think the Jazz are done, right? I think even Danny Ainge was like, hey, we're winning too many games. So he got rid of the guys that were winning the games. I think I'm being honest, right? Like you start trading away Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley. We know that Conley's gone. So they have to add guys. Like they just signed Chris Dunn to a 10-day contract. And one of the things that I think is extremely noticeable is that when teams start signing 10-day contracts to players in the second half of the season, that's typically when you want to start fading them because they're not trying to win games anymore. OKC on the opposite side, they are trying to win games. And I think this is a winnable game. Tomorrow, you're probably not going to win against the Phoenix Suns, who are going to be the more rested home team. So, for those reasons, I think OKC gets the win tonight. I think that they win this game. Not just cover the 2. I think they win the game outright. So I laid the +2 with them, and I think that they win the game outright.
I know Jay liked the Thunder as well. Munaf or Ski dropped off. Munaf, you have anything on this one?
No, I agree with you guys about the Thunder. I think the value may be gone now. I think there's some spots where it's down to a pick, maybe even still at -1 for the Utah Jazz. But I think Chris hit the nail on the head that there's really not a lot of players that can score the basketball right now for the Utah Jazz. That's why they're signing a lot of players to these 10-day contracts. Colin Sexton's going to be out for at least 2 games. I think THT will probably get the start in his spot. But I think the one player that I did like in this game to probably have a big game for the Jazz was Kelly Olynyk. If you want to look at his PRA to go over, I think it was 21.5, might be up to 22.5. Maybe sprinkle a little bit on his double-double here as well, add +480. He's had back-to-back double-doubles before the All-Star break, points and rebounds to get over. So at close to 5-1, I don't hate that play.
Here's one thing that I just saw that I didn't look at. I didn't see earlier while you guys were breaking it down too is the Thunder on the road. And if we look at total greater than, I think it was just 230, just a higher total. 7-2 straight up, 8-1 against the spread. So when these fast-paced teams or they face teams that don't play defense, it looks like they really do just take care of business in those games. So it seems like the Thunder should be the way to go. But like what Munaf just said, it's kind of like that value is gone, right? You could have had it at 3, now it's at pick'em. Because in general, if you just look at Thunder on the road and we just look at the line, we filter for the line, you can see everything up here. They've been struggling, right? Under 3 basically is where that threshold is, where they haven't been really winning and covering. That was what scared me off initially, really, to stay off the Thunder. Is I want to back the Thunder as road dogs, like heavy road dogs, not where they are now. Just like I want to back Magic as home dogs, not home favorites. You know what I mean? That's the way that I could think of it. But there might be a way to get on there on this side here. I just need to dive into it a little bit more, but I can't talk anyone off of the Thunder in this game.
RC, real quick, when I think about this game and I think about where the line is right now, it makes me kind of think back to probably about 2 weeks ago. The San Antonio Spurs were traveling to the Charlotte Hornets, and you were on Charlotte in that game, and the line was really big for Charlotte. You remember that? It was like,
yeah.
And you were like, that's telling because Charlotte shouldn't be laying 6 points. So if they're laying, it means that they're probably gonna cover and win that game, right? And that's how I kind of see this OKC game tonight. Like San Antonio wasn't trying to win that game. And I don't think Utah is going to try to win this game tonight either. I think that they got rid of the guys so that they could, lose games like this, while OKC on the opposite end is trying to, really fight for, at least a play-in spot.
Yeah, the one pivot that I talked about on Jay's show too was that Thunder team total over as well. If you look at this spot here on the road, first leg of back-to-back games, average 127.2. They went under in this game here against the Warriors, in Warriors territory, but typically the Warriors do play better defense at home anyways, and that's something that we've seen like throughout the season. So I could see that happening. I'm not really even sure who was playing. So SGA, Giddy, someone's missing here from the starting lineup. But yeah, for the most part,
Dort is in that one. But he's in today, RC.
For the most part, I would probably look towards that was probably the pivot that I really wanted to go towards was the Thunder team total over, if anything.
I think RC, real quick, I think the Jazz team total under could be more in play, especially on the first leg of a back-to-back, right?
That could definitely be it too. It's so I don't know. This one's tough, but I can't talk anyone off what everyone has said so far. Another one that I was looking at, I don't know if you guys were on this one, but I do like the Cavs today, and I'll just break down real quick why. A few of the things that I looked at here, Nuggets, just basically the home road split for the Nuggets here. You can see that their record 27-4 straight up versus 14-4 home versus road. There's a net average of I think like minus 15. So if we go to home, their net average their average is plus 11 plus 12, right? But if you go on the road, they're actually minus 4 on average. That's what I'm seeing there. So that's a huge gap between road and the home splits. But the thing on the other side is just Cavs at home have been really dominant, and that's where I was looking at really for the most part was backing the Cavs, not really fading the Nuggets. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but if you look at them at home here, 25-6, right? It's just the home road splits that really you could see is really apparent in these games here, and you can see how well they've been doing lately, right? There's pretty. They've been winning at a high rate for the most part. If we dive deeper into it, though, if we look at them as favorites versus non-conference teams with a winning record, and this is where I was talking earlier in Jay's show, is that they play up against teams, the higher level teams. 7-1 straight up, 6-2 ATS in that spot. Winning average margin around plus 11.4 there. One and covered the last 4. They're just doing well in that spot in general. Another thing to look at again versus teams with a winning record here. We're looking at actually teams with a better record than theirs. So if we say that their winning record, their win percentage is less than their opponent, right? 5-5 straight up, 6-4 ATS. But if you go deeper into it and we say that they're at they're the favorite in the spot. They're 5-0 straight up, 5-0 ATS, 4-1 against the spread. So for me, I like the spot here. I think the Cavs play up to the Nuggets level. I know both of these teams really are in a look ahead spot. The Nuggets looking ahead to who the fuck they playing?
The Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies. Nuggets looking ahead to the Grizzlies, and then I feel like the Cavs are looking ahead too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they play Atlanta, right?
I think so. I can't remember. I had it in the notes.
They play Atlanta tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So just a lot of things to me, just looking in direction towards the Cavs here. Anyone else have anything to add to this game?
Real quick, I see league-wide trend that's kind of similar to what you have up there. Home favorites with the win percentage of 55% or more playing in a non-conference game versus an opponent that also has a winning record.
League-wide. So 26-6 straight up, 20-12 ATS, 21-11 to the over. So lean towards the over too. Mm-hmm. The thing too that we're looking at here, I think the line is at -2 right now. I mean, taking the money line is not a bad idea. I think it might be like -130, -125 around there. So if you don't trust that number at the -2, or if your book only offers -2.5 for you, I mean, money line is not that bad, to be honest. I mean, if you're looking at just this league-wide trend in general, 81.2%, I would pay the 120, 125, 130, whatever that money line is to get that unit for you. Pat or Munafi, anything on this one?
I'm gonna stay off the game completely. I lean the Cavs at the number, but with zero support and minimal confidence. So good luck on your bet, but yeah, I don't have anything on the game.
Munaf, anything?
Nah, yeah, I really agree with you guys about, with the Cavs here. We talked about how Cleveland is right up there with Philly as one of the best teams at home against the spread so far this season. So the numbers that you put up, I mean, the home run splits are it's a night and day difference for Denver.
Yeah,
when they're at home and on the road. So yeah, no argument for me.
got it. All right, well, that's one that I like there. I know so we kind of went through that roundtable of best bets. A couple of games that we wanted to look at as far as we had some leans, but wanted to get deeper into it was Kings Blazers and the Pistons and the Magic. I think I'm gonna bring up the Pistons Magic because I think this one will be a little bit quicker. Because I don't think anyone really wants to back the Pistons except for maybe me and Pat. Oh, wait, Munaf, didn't you say something about Pistons too?
Yeah, I would agree on the Pistons side here if you want to break it down. But I mean, this seems like a lot of points for a Magic team that, as a home favorite, hasn't been very profitable this season.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'll just bring that up real quick. Magic as home favorites.
I mean, it's only been 5 spots. I think they're like 2 and 3, I believe.
So they're 2 and 4 straight up, 2 and 4 ATS, 5 and 1 to the over. For the one thing that I was looking at though is just the fact that how much points they're giving up. Their opponents are going over their team total in all 6 games there. So that's why I was kind of initially looking towards the Pistons. I know 2 and 4 isn't like going crazy, right? Something that you just fade them in general, but I think the 6 and 0 to the team total over for their opponent is apparent. And if we go to the Pistons side here, this is one thing that I wanted to show is I talked about it on Jay's show too. Like we always talk about the revenge angle, and Jay, I think Chris actually talked about this with one of the other games earlier. But we also got to look at how teams do after they beat that team earlier in the season, like what type of motivation they have, or just the fact that maybe they just own that team in general. Like the matchup wise, that team has a better matchup or outlook against their opponent. But if we look at them versus teams that they beat earlier in the season, and it's not a lot. Here we go. Pistons versus teams that they beat in the most recent matchup this season. 4 and 2 straight up, 5 and 1 ATS, covering their last 5 in a row. For the most part, man, that's just the way that's really pushing me towards the Pistons side. Pat or Munaf, you guys have anything to add to this one?
I'm going with the Pistons, man. I hate to say it, but again, the Magic, they're on my radar for teams to fade in the second half of the season. This is a team they've exceeded expectations. They've been outperforming and not a team that I'm willing to back in the second half of the season. Now, I say that against a team that's bottom tier and the Pistons, right? But just because a team is bottom tier doesn't mean that they can accidentally mess around and win some games. Like, this is a team that can accidentally win outright again. They've beaten the Magic 5 of the last 6 matchups. Not only that, just the Magic performing as home favorites. I just think that we're paying a little bit too much of a premium to back them as a 7-point favorite.
Yeah.
So for all those reasons, I kind of like the Pistons upset in this spot. It's a super unpopular take. I know, horrible team. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think that there's more value on the Pistons money line than the spread. This can either be a blowout or an upset. And I'm prepared to look like a genius or a jackass. So for those reasons, man, I got to go with the Pistons.
Yeah, the other way too that you could pivot if you guys don't want to take the money line, like past YBB said, is maybe really just that Pistons team total over. Because even in this angle here, when we look at them as road dogs versus a conference team with a losing record, they're going over their team total in what is this? 5 of their last 6 games here, and by good margin. I know this one's in OT, but they went well over in regulation. So I would look towards the Pistons team total over if you don't like the spread in general. The other thing to mention too, so if I go to the Magic side one more time, home favorite and revenge angle, 4 and 1 to the over there, giving up 120.4 per game. Again, like you can see, their opponents going over that team total. So I would just only look towards Pistons team total over. The other one, did Chris, did you have anything to add to this one before we move on to the next one?
No, I think it goes over too. I had some support for the over, but nothing that I played in this one. I feel like it's a game that I don't want to back either one of these teams right now, if I'm being honest. Not laying this many points with the Magic. I feel like the books just made it so unattractive, right? Like you want to take the Magic to win, but you don't want to. I'm not laying this many points with the Magic to win by this many points. So yeah, nothing official for me, I see.
Let's move on to the next one here. It's the last game on the board, Kings and the Blazers here. I know someone was talking about how they were stuck in the plane. I know Jay mentioned it on his show earlier, but we were talking about it in the chat yesterday. Like, how is this going to really affect them? Right. I think someone was mentioning a prop play on this one with Dame, but did anyone have a look on the side or the total?
Go ahead, Mino.
No, I mean this becomes a question. Do you want to lay 6.5 with the Kings? Right. I know they're having a pretty good season under Mike Brown, his first year as a head coach for the Sacramento Kings. But I think that when Greg was on, he was mentioning that it's going to be very difficult for the Blazers to stop anything that's happening inside the paint here tonight, because they're going to be without Nurk for a while. I don't know. I think it's Drew Eubanks who's going to get the start for them for the Blazers at the center position. But I was mentioning that Fox should get whatever he wants here tonight. I think Sabonis should probably have a big game on the boards as far as rebounding and also scoring points here tonight. So as crazy as it may sound, man, I think I want to lay the points here with the Kings, man. I think they come out in the second half. Their guys are healthy. I know the Blazers are missing Nurk. They're missing Anthony Simons in this game as well. They're also missing Justice Winslow in this game as well. So for me, I think I do like the Kings here tonight. I know we're talking about player props as far as De'Aaron Fox having a big game here tonight, whether it's 30+ points or his assist here tonight
Fox,
as well.
that's what it was. Yeah, it was Fox. I mean that makes a lot of sense because there's not a lot of paint protection there. I don't think Eubanks is a defender, great defender in the paint there. Chris or YBB, anything to add to this one?
I got support on the over and the under.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I know, man. I just
It's
I
that
don't know how to
240
feel about
range.
the game.
Yeah, a little sprinkle on both.
I know.
Chris, all right, hold on. Before you look at those, then, all right, because you're gonna look towards the total. Chris, anything on the side?
Yeah, I would just agree with you. When I capped it yesterday, I could have got the 5.5, and I didn't. But that was before Dame was making rap songs stuck on the plane. So I didn't play it, but I think makes a lot of great points. With one thing I looked at in this game, RC, was the I think it's been 13 games that Nurkic hasn't played for the Portland Trailblazers, and in those 13 games, I think they're giving up about 5 more points per game. We know that the Kings fill it up at home, so I think even with the number, moving from 5.5, of course you don't get the best number, but I think that they can win this game by 6. By 7 to 10 points tonight. One thing that we talked about, RC, probably like 2 months ago, I think it might have been when Portland was going to Denver. We talked about Portland not being able to really keep up offensively when those totals are that high. This is the highest total for the Portland Trailblazers as a road dog this season, or just on the road in general. And they have covered a couple of those, but I don't think that they've been, ran into an offense that has the juggernauts that this team does tonight in the Sacramento Kings, especially with the Kings like having everybody. They have a full, everybody's back. Malik Monk is back. Of course, they have all their bench guys, and we know that they can kind of fill it up at home. I also just kind of paying attention to this team. I listened to the to the post-practice interviews with De'Aaron Fox and, Coach Mike Brown. And all of those guys know that the target is on their back. I've heard YBB say it. I've heard Jay say it as well. I think that the Kings don't finish in the 3rd seed as well. They are going to be a fade team in some spots, but not tonight. I think that they win the game, and I think that they cover, but it's nothing that I put in my pocket. I also think the game goes under too, RC.
Yeah, just real quick to kind of support the Kings. If you like the Kings here, the revenge angle for them has been good. 8-4 straight up, 8-4 ATS, 8-3-1 to the under, which is why I was leading towards the under here. So I'm gonna talk about why I like the under, YBB, and then you could tell me why what support you have for the over, to see if you, because I haven't taken it yet, but if you look at that here, that already points to the under. If we go a little bit further and say that they're the home favorite, you can see that they're 2-2 over under. But if you look at those higher totals at the 240 mark, they're going under those. And we talk about that 240 mark since like the midpoint of January. A lot of unders in a row with those games with a 240 or total or higher. And more things to support it is on the home road splits for the Blazers. And we talk about how crazy it is for certain teams home road, the home road splits. But if we go to the Blazers here and we just go on the road, they're 18-10 to the under, and you can see that combined score there about 223, right? If we go home, it's a huge difference. It's basically the opposite on the record, 18-11-1 to the over, and now you're seeing a combined total of around 236.5. Right, that's a huge gap between how much points is being scored and even given up between home and road for this Blazers team. And then you bring in the fact that they were stuck on the plane. They're arriving there today. I just don't see them being really in sync or kind of being in they're probably just off rhythm, right? So I seen someone Lee Lewis mentioned the team total Blazers under. That was one way to look, but also just the fact that the Kings here in that revenge angle, that they play a better defense. Another thing to mention, Kings, if we just look at them with total greater than 240 or greater, they are 6-7, 7-6 to the under. But if you look at more recent games, they went 4 straight, right? And this is that beginning of that cluster of unders in that spot, right? That mid-January, January 18, that's when it kind of started. 4 straight unders there. And if you look at the team total under on that side, right? 5 straight team total unders, 7 of the last 8 for their opponent. So their defense is showing up in that spot. I just feel like it's either team total Blazers under or just the full game under in general. Pat, what were you looking at for the over in this game?
So it fits a script of an all-star study that I have, and I posted this out earlier, but this system is 31-6 to the over, and it sucks that the Kings and Trailblazers are in that script. So basically, trying to pull it up for you. Yeah, since 2012, home teams that have at least 5 days of rest in the regular season, so not playoffs, they're 31-6 to the over when facing an opponent they failed to cover the spread against by more than 3.5 points in a previous matchup that went over the total. So that's support on the over. The Kings fit that script. I don't really like it too much. Believe it or not,
I was trying to hear it.
Hey, YBB, that was like 40 different parameters. Can you say it one more time for my man so you can look it up?
Oh, yeah. All right. So they failed to cover the previous spread by 3.5 points. Yeah. And it went over the total.
Okay.
And reg.
Right.
Let's see. There might be like a parameter missing in there. Greater than or equal to 5 days of rest. I'm not sure. Regardless, though.
Yeah, no, I can see it. I mean, even just what I have here points to the over.
Yeah, it's a pain, man. It's a pain. But on the bright side, what I pulled up, look at the Kings and how they perform after allowing 120 points in a road loss. Previous opponent. Yeah. There you go. Previous opponent points, 120. Okay, maybe since 20, maybe this year they picked it up, but I know since like 2020 or maybe last season, it hasn't been the prettiest thing in the world.
20-10 to the under. I mean, like if you just look at the average, though, it's still the same. Like you look at it this season, even though the record is 3-2, if we're looking at points scored.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You know, that brings me to my other point for supporting like the under, like you had mentioned, is that you're getting it taxed. The total's 240 now, and the Kings, generally speaking, they've been taxed on the total, and they're actually going towards the under more often than not this season. Mm-hmm. So their average totals are 235. when I look at this game and you're getting a 6-point tax, it's like, that just screams red flags. So I lean the under. I just don't like that I have support on the over.
Yeah, I got you.
For all those reasons, I'm out. I don't want to bet the game. I don't want to bet the Kings the second half of the season. I'll watch it. This might be, in my opinion, a better game to target props. But yeah, I'm not too interested in any number in this game, to be completely honest.
I see a 241.5 too, RC, just real quick, because I know you were talking about waiting for it to go up. I see it.
Yeah, I do want it to, if it gets to like 242, basically 241, 242 around the area, I want to take the under there. I think it gets to the point where both teams really have to play a perfect game, and both teams really are fighting for a playoff spot here, right? So we're thinking playoff atmosphere, and when we talk about playoff atmosphere type games, we typically like the under, right? I don't like if we go to the playoffs right now, do we see 240 totals?
No,
I don't think so.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, that's the way that I would think. It is really towards the under. I might get there, dude. I do. I really think I might get there. Because even if we just look at this, one thing that you mentioned, YBB, is the off the road loss. If we look at the higher totals, they're going under. It's just the fact that you're expecting these two teams to play almost perfect basketball every single quarter.
Nurk, one more thing I see real quick before, because I know you're real close to making this official, and I want to get there with you. I think Nurkic slows the pace down for the Portland Trail Blazers, which in turn helps them to score more points if you go look at that. Yeah. And then of course their defense takes a huge dip as well when you just got Eubanks out there. So that was one of the things that kind of talked me off of taking the under RC, but I don't want to talk you off. I think that was just one of the things. If they had him out there to help defensively, because I think the Kings can get pretty much whatever it is that they want against this team. We just sort of watched them Wizards do it as well. And that was in Portland. So I think the Kings at home, listen to De'Aaron Fox after the post All-Star, media coverage, and he was like, "I'm flying straight back because Coach Mike Brown not giving us an extra day. We got practice on Tuesday, and this was on Sunday night." So he was saying that he was flying back that night because they were going to be doing defensive slides, and he was going to take the defense a little more serious than most other teams probably was. So for those reasons, I just and the Kings getting Malik Monk back, I think that they could fill it up tonight. So it kind of scares me on the under with Nurkic not being there. But if you play it, my brother, I definitely hope you cash it because I'm definitely not taking the over.
Hey, Ronald.
Yeah.
Real quick, I messed up on giving you the Kings. It's the Trailblazers when they're coming off a game allowing 120 since 2020. I totally butchered that one. But you see a lot of regression from them. The average total in those spots is 228.9, and they're staying under more than 60% of the time. And over 70 games.
Why isn't that popping up though? Like I don't understand.
Oh, because you're doing 2022. I did 2020. Trailblazers just overall allowing 120 points. I'm sorry.
PO points.
Like not just an away loss, but just off a game where they allowed 120. And then since 2020, they've been going way under usually. So.
Okay, yeah, that's a good high percentage of unders there.
It's a good sample size, but
yeah. All right, well, I think we got, man. I do want to get there. I might look into it a little bit more. I know we got some time, but I don't. Me and YBB, we have a MMA show coming up right after this. We got Liam Picks Fights joining us because Harry's on some drugs because he dude got jacked. His knees got jacked from an MMA training or whatever. So hopefully he gets healed up and we get him back next week. But we got Liam Picks Fights coming to join us here on Cap the Cage right after this show today. But I do want to make sure we get the officials dropped or whatever you guys really want to drop for the viewers here before we go. And let's start with Munaf here. Or what do you want to drop for the viewers here?
Yeah, Sixers -3.5, full game over. I think that number's currently sitting at 230.5. Let me double check that. I see 230.5, so 231 most books. Mm-hmm. Also do like the Jalen Duran double prop here tonight against the Orlando Magic. He's had 2 games this season against the Magic already. He had 18 rebounds and 10 rebounds in one. And again, Magic do, even though they are a great rebounding team, they do struggle against opposing centers. So that number's at a nice plus 220 price here tonight. So those are 3 plays I would like for tonight.
Like it. Hey, can I ask you a real quick question? You know, like when we talk about like when you like one side and you like the total in the same game, what is what kind of talks you off of taking the team total instead, or is it better to have them separated so that just in case one hits, one doesn't, or you kind of just push, or what is your take on that?
I think for tonight it might be a spot where I'd like the full game over, and I think we're talking about in the chat where I think I like the Sixers team total to go over even more because of what we talked about with how bad the Grizzlies defense has been on the road. So usually if guys I respect like you guys, if you like a full game over and I like the Sixers side, I might just take Sixers minus the 3.5 and the Sixers team total to go over.
Yeah. No, I got it. All right, cool. I just wanted to ask you that because we see it a lot, and I really want to get the viewers to understand why our thought process is when we separate them versus when we want to take the team total. All right, cool. Chris, what are your officials here?
Yeah, Munaf talked about the Sixers. RC, I played the -4. It's down to 3.5. I like it even more. So official play for me, Philadelphia 76ers -4. Take the 3.5. But I think they win the game by more than 2 possessions today against the Grizzlies. And I also played OKC plus the 2. I know that they've switched to being a favorite on some books at -1. They also +1 on some books because the line has moved down. But I think it's a winnable game. I think they actually win the game. And I played them plus the 1. So those are 2 officials for me. I see. I got a show at 5:15. I'm gonna try to find a couple props that I like, but I don't want to dabble too much with it being the first night. Also, really like the Cavs. I know you talked about the Cavs. I just didn't get there, but we didn't mention this, but Aaron Gordon is out. He's a big part of that offense. Yeah. So I like them as well, but I didn't get there with them. But 2 official plays, I took OKC plus the 1, and I also took the Cavs minus the 4. So I'm sorry, Philadelphia minus the 4. I see.
Gotcha. YBB, what you got?
So outside of the Pistons money line, I didn't wear this shirt for nothing. I'm gonna have to say that Philly and Utah goes under the total today. Utah and OKC under. I like that it's steamed upwards. They're just in a perfect spot to stay under the total. I think that we fade the tax today. Again, I make this number closer to 233.5. So if you're telling me I get 8 points of value, that's just it's just a confidence thing. So yeah, best bet for the show. Give me OKC and Utah to stay under the total at the current number.
Gotcha. All right, so for me, I'm gonna go with the Sixers and the Cavs. Those are the 2 plays that I took last night, and I'm gonna stick with them. I want to look at some other games too as well, but the leans right now is that that under right in the Kings Blazers. I do lean towards the Pistons in some way, maybe the team total over there or them on the spread. Also was looking towards, I wrote it down earlier, Lakers. I wasn't looking towards the Lakers, leaning their direction and possibly their team total over as well. So those are the ways that I'm looking for today. Shout out to Chris, Munaf, YBB. Follow these guys on Twitter because all of these guys do other stuff outside of obviously Let's Cap, but each one of them have their own shows. I know YBB is starting to put up more content on YouTube. Munaf is with the sports gambling podcast, right? Is that sports
gambling podcast network? Yeah.
Yeah, and they're a big. I mean, that company right there has grown tremendously in the last few years, and Munaf is a big part of that. Chris obviously has his spaces, and don't you still do your early like?
Yeah, I do. I see. Yeah, cashed it with Chris. I'm a free agent like Kyrie, baby, looking to sign that big deal. Nike let me go, but now I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm doing the 2 shows a day. I see throughout the rest of the season, man. Excited to get back into it for sure. Appreciate you having me as always.
Yes, sir. And right after this, guys, right after we log off, me and YBB is going straight into Cap the Cage. We're going to talk MMA for this weekend. All right. Well, with that said, I always have to end with this. Whether you fade us or follow us, it is on you guys to make that call. Good luck with all your action. Till next time, peace.